So close.
I go get a quick drink.
Yeah.
Wash down the teeth.
Okay, so the story's about a knight. It takes place in the olden days, the time of the fairies, and the knight. He's supposed to be this like quintessential chivalrous guy, but he does something bad, rapes a girl. What should his sentence be?
Death.
Death. But what does the king do?
Lets the wife decide.
He lets the queen decide, and she says you have
A year and a day.
366 days to come back with
An answer.
an answer. So he travels the lands for 365 days and finds
Nothing. Lots of answers.
too many answers. No one can agree. The last day he finds an old lady, and she says,
I'll tell you as long as you do what I ask of you.
okay, I'll tell you the answer as long as the next thing I ask you do. So they're going to the queen. That's where we're at, 199.
What, 99?
What line? Line
Oh.
199. They came to court this night in full array, stood forth and said, O queen, I've kept my day and kept my word, and have my answer ready. There sat the noble matrons, and the heady young girls, and widows too, that have the grace of wisdom, all assembled in that place, and there the queen herself was thrown to hear his and judge his answer. Then the knight drew near, and silence was commanded through the hall. Okay, so who all is here who all is present to hear his answer?
Lots of women.
Lots of women, like all the noble ladies, widows, mothers, daughters, everybody, all the women of the kingdom, the noble women of the kingdom are there to hear this. The queen gave order he should tell them all what thing it was that women wanted most. He stood not silent like a beast or post, but gave his answer with ringing word of a man's voice, and the assembly heard. My liege and lady in general, he said, a woman wants the self-same sovereignty over her husband as over her lover, and master him. He must not be above her. That is your greatest wish. Whether you kill or spare me, please yourself. I wait your will. So what is the thing that women want most of all? Power. To be in charge. For the men in their life to
Bow down.
do what they say. And if you think about it, a lot of the other answers that we discussed, like all kind of could fit under this umbrella, right?
You might say.
Like money, like you want wealth or you want gifts, you just tell your man that's what you want, and if he gives it to you, then you know then you have the control. I just want you to just make a silent judgment of your own parents. I don't want you to say an answer out loud. We're not throwing anybody under the bus here. But in your parents' relationship, would you say this is a true existence? Or do you think that it's a more balanced power equation? You don't have to answer out loud. Just think about it, okay? I'll tell you if you ask my husband what he would say. I should have him call me tomorrow during this period and you can ask him the question. Okay, in all the court, not one that shook her head or contradicted what the knight had said. Maid, wife, and widow cried, he saved his life. And on the word, up started the old wife, the one the knight saw sitting on the green, and cried, your mercy, sovereign lady queen. Before the court disperses, do me right. 'Twas I who taught this answer to the knight, for which he swore and pledged his honor to it, that the first thing I asked of him he'd do it, so far as it should lie within his might. Before this court I ask you then, Sir Knight, to keep your word and take me for your wife, for well you know that I have saved your life. If this be false, deny it on the sword. Wait, what's the problem with the fact that she's asking this?
She's old.
She's old.
She's gonna die.
What else? Old.
Give her power.
What else though? What else about her?
She's ugly.
Creepy.
She's ugly. Like, remember it said no fouler creature existed? So it's this old, hideous lady. Now, give her props. She waits to tell him this until when? In front of everybody. Can he deny it? Can he turn her down? No, he can't. She got him in a corner. Alas, he said, old lady, by the Lord, I know indeed that such was my behest, but for God's love, think of a new request. Take all my goods, but leave my body free. A curse on us, she said, if I agree. I may be foul, I may be poor and old, yet will not choose to be, for all the gold that's bedded in the earth or lies above, less than your wife, nay, than your very love. So how does she recount him? Discount him?
She agrees that she's ugly and poor and old.
Uh-huh.
She says that love is more important.
Yep, she will not take anything but his love. That's the only thing she wants. My love, said he, by heaven, my damnation. Alas, that any of my race and station should ever make so foul a misalliance. Okay, so what is he's giving his, explanation here of why he can't marry her. What's one of the reasons? What does station mean? If you've watched, if you've watched Bridgerton, you know that this is what a word they use. It means your rank, your position. Remember what I said about marriage. You always want to do what? Marry up. And in this case, he's marrying down. And not just down a little, down to the bottom. So he can't do it. It's like so shameful to have to marry someone beneath you. And not only is she ranked beneath him, it'd be one thing if she was, Cinderella, like this beautiful girl who's just dressed in rags. But she's not. She's old, ugly, poor, and beneath him. Okay? Yet in the end, his pleading and defiance all went for nothing. He was forced to wed. He takes his ancient wife and goes to bed. Now, peradventure, some may well suspect a lack of care in me, since I neglect to tell of the rejoicing and display made at the feast upon their wedding day. I have but a short answer to let fall. I say, there was no joy or feast at all. Nothing but heaviness of heart and sorrow. He married her in private on the morrow, and all day long stayed hidden like an owl. It was such torture that his wife looked foul. Great was the anguish churning in his head when he and she were piloted to bed. He wallowed back and forth in desperate style. His ancient wife lay smiling all the while. At last she said, "Bless us, is this, my dear, how knights and wives get on together here? Are these the laws of good King Arthur's house? Are all of his knights so contemptuous? I am your own beloved and your wife, and I am she indeed that saved your life, and certainly I never did you wrong. Then why this first of nights so sad a song? You're carrying on as if you were half-witted. Say, for God's love, what sin have I committed? I'll put things right, if you will tell me how." Okay, so, their wedding day is what? Sad, horrible. He's crying. He won't even come out of his room. And, as is the custom in ancient times, the first order of business for a husband and wife is to
Breed.
confirm the marriage by going to bed together. Okay, so they're lying in bed, and what's he doing?
Nothing.
Crying. And there's a lovely photo there. I mean, I personally think he's probably more attractive than that picture implies, but he's lying there crying and she's just laying there, smiling, just waiting for things to get started. And she says what?
Why are you sad? I haven't done
gotta wait
anything wrong.
Why are you sad? I haven't done anything wrong. Is this the way all the knights of King Arthur's court, the most famous, most chivalrous court in all the world, is this how the knights treat their women? Tell me what I did wrong and I'll fix it if I can. Okay? He says, "Put right," he cried, "that never can be now. Nothing can ever be put right again. You're old and so abominably plain, so poor to start with, so low bred to follow. It's little wonder if I twist and wallow. God, that my heart would burst within my breast." Okay, so there's 4 complaints he has. It's going to be important. What are the 4? Old,
Boring.
plain, boring,
Poor.
poor, and low bred, meaning her status is low. Okay? So old, plain, poor, and low position. "Is that," said she, "the cause of your unrest?" "Yes, certainly," he said, "and can you wonder? I could set right what you suppose a blunder, that's if I cared to, in a day or two, if I were shown more courtesy by you. Just now," she said, "you spoke of gentle birth, just as such as descends from ancient wealth and worth. If that's the claim you make for a gentleman, such arrogance is hardly worth a hen. Whoever loves to work for virtuous ends, public and private, and who most intends to do what deeds of gentleness he can, take him to be the greatest gentleman." Okay, so what's she doing here?
Well, she said she could fix it, but she doesn't want to.
Okay, she said she could fix it, but she doesn't want to. Then she goes on, what's she talking about from 285 to where I stopped?
How he's not like a good gentleman.
Okay, not maybe just him necessarily, but she's making an argument about the whole concept of
Marrying.
No.
Status.
yeah, nobility. So what does she say about it? Let me ask you this. How do you get to be a nobleman?
You're born into it.
You're born into it. What does she say?
That's not fair.
Because,
Like the way you act should be.
yeah, the way you act should determine your level of nobility. It says, "Whoever loves to work for virtuous ends, public and private, and who most intends to do what deeds of gentleness he can, take him to be the greatest gentleman." As in, your deeds should determine your nobleness, not the fact that your great 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 grandfather inherited all this land from the king. Okay? Is that a good argument?
Yeah.
Pretty good. "Christ wills we take our gentleness from him, not from a wealth of ancestry long dim, though they bequeath their whole establishment, by which we claim to be of high descent. Our fathers cannot make us a bequest of all those virtues that became them best, and earned for them the name of gentlemen, but bade us follow them as best we can." Thus the wise poet of Florentines, Dante by name, has written these lines, for such is the opinion Dante launches. "Seldom arises by these slender branches prowess of men, for it is God no less wills us to claim of him our gentleness." Okay, Dante, there's a little note about him. He's a famous Italian poet. He wrote some really important pieces of literature and history. One of them is called The Divine Comedy, which ironically Tanner Sleva is actually reading that for his book reflection book. Another one that he wrote is called The Inferno, which tells about the if you've ever read the book of Revelations in the Bible, it's a story about what happens when the book of Revelations comes to life, basically hell on earth. So he is a well-respected author. And the lady quotes him here, which the quote goes with her argument. So her argument, she's saying, is well-supported. What two sources does she back up her opinion with? What two people does she say have the same opinion as her about this idea of gentility?
Dante and God.
Dante and God. There's no higher authority. Like, how could you argue with her point when she has Jesus and Dante as her two pieces of evidence to support it? Okay, at the end of that paragraph says, for of our parents nothing can we claim save temporal things, and these may hurt and maim. Which means the only things you should get passed down from your parents are like material goods. You shouldn't be able to inherit their title, their level of nobility. That's something that you should have to work for. You should have to earn it. And she goes on. But everyone knows this as well as I, for if gentility were implanted by the natural course of lineage down the line, public or private, could it cease to shine in doing the fair work of the gentle deed? No vice or villainy could then bear seed. And she goes into another example. I'm going to skip that one and go to the next stanza. You can draw a little bracket all down the stanzas on page 194 that says about nobility. And just stop at the last one that starts for as for poverty. I'm going to read that one. I'm going to skip the other ones. I want you to go to the stanza that has line 345 in it and underline line 347. And therefore, my dear husband, I conclude that even if my ancestors were rude, yet God on high, and so I hope he will, can grant me grace to live in virtue still, a gentlewoman, only when beginning to live in virtue and to shrink from sinning. Okay, so those last four lines say, if God sees me as a good person, then I would think you could also see me as a good person. Based on my virtues, the fact that I'm a good person, that's how you should judge my nobility, not by the fact that I don't have a lineage, ancestors to prove it. Okay, next stanza, I should say paragraph. As for my poverty, which you reprove, Almighty God himself, in whom we move, believe, and have our being, chose a life of poverty. And every man or wife, nay, every child, can see our heavenly King would never stoop to choose a shameful thing. No shame in poverty if the heart is gay, as Seneca and all the learned say. He who accepts his poverty unhurt, I'd say is rich, although he lacked a shirt. But truly poor are they who whine and fret, and covet what they cannot hope to get. And he that, having nothing, covets not, is rich, though you may think he is a sot. Okay, so remember, what were those four arguments the knight had?
She doesn't have a title.
Poor, titleless, no nobility, ugly, old. Okay, so what has she done up to this stanza?
Argued her nobility.
Argued about nobility. What's she arguing now?
Poverty.
Poverty, the fact that she's poor. What's her argument?
God chose a life of poverty.
Yeah, Jesus, really she means Jesus, not God, but it's okay. Jesus chose to live a life of poverty. That was the best way to go. And then she gives some other examples at the top of 195 that say, What does covet mean?
Take one.
To your parents.
Want. Yeah, to want. So there are two covet commandments. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife or goods. So the lesson there is that if you have everything but you still want more, what does that equal? Sin. Versus having little but not wanting any more equals good. Okay? Where does that happiness come from? Your heart. Right? That you shouldn't want things. You should be happy with what you have and grateful for what you have. And when you have anything extra, what should you do with it? Give it to people who are less fortunate than you. Okay, these are the signs of happiness. Okay, I'm on the next stanza on 195. True poverty can find a song to sing. Juvenal, which is another ancient writer, says a pleasant little thing. The poor can dance and sing in the relief of having nothing that will tempt a thief. If you live in the crappiest house on the block, who's getting robbed? Not you. Though it be hateful, poverty is good, a great incentive to a livelihood, and a great help to our capacity for wisdom, if accepted patiently. Poverty is, though wanting in estate, a kind of wealth that none calumniate. Poverty often, when the heart is lowly, brings one to God and teaches what is holy, gives knowledge of oneself, and even lends a glass by which to see one's truest friends. And since it's no offense, let me be plain, do not rebuke my poverty again. Okay, there's a whole bunch. Like, you can make a list. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 reasons why poverty is not bad. Why it's actually good. What are they?
Jesus was poor.
Okay, 1 from the stanza above, Jesus was poor. Another, you're not going to get robbed from. Number 3, there's like, oh, yep, it causes you to be humble. That would be like on lines 375, 6, 7, 377, and 378. And then what's the next one?
Brings you to God.
Okay, brings you to God. There's another one.
Is it like on?
It's at the bottom, like
You
towards the.
know who your friends are.
Yep, you'll find out who your friends are. I often dream, look at me coveting, such an unholy soul. What it would be like to win the lottery. I mean, I don't actually buy tickets. I just, dream about it. Well, so, like the lottery that just got drawn was like $1 billion. Okay?
Somebody won it?
Yeah. Actually, like 6, there were 4 or 5 people, I think. One got all the numbers right, but then there were 2 or 3 tickets that had whatever 5 numbers that also win more money than you could use. So like $1 billion. I mean, there are many people in the world in today's day and age who actually have $1 billion. 20 years ago, nobody had $1 billion. Now there's like 25 people that have $1 billion or more. You could like never spend that much money. I mean, you could, but what could you buy that you needed to have with $1 billion?
A lot of land.
$1 billion? Even those farms we were talking about in the study hall are still only millions.
They already broke another record. Did you see that?
Yes.
30,000 for 70 acres.
So I like all of the brass.
Where at?
$1 billion.
Somewhere down by Kansas, I think. for 70 acres. It's like 2.2 million for 70 acres.
So one of the things I would do if I won the lottery is make sure that the Central Valley Public Schools built a track and field facility.
What did you say?
Make sure the Central Valley built a track and field facility. Like I would pay someone an extraordinarily large amount of money to sell some land around here, around this building, so that we could build a track.
They already bought some. The school did.
Not big enough, really, but bigger.
Is
But
this Memorial Stadium or
They
what
need
are
to
we
make a
doing?
Memorial Stadium for Central Valley.
yeah, I mean, why not? If you build it, they will come.
They will come.
And it could be the I don't know.
Senior high.
It'd be pretty
The
dope if you got
Underwood.
to the field.
family complex or something. I don't know, whatever. Okay, that's my dream. Also, so like life problems of the Underwood family last week. So not this past weekend, but the weekend before, Kellen and I went to Lincoln to the whoever we played for the football game.
Doesn't even
Illinois,
matter.
yeah, Illinois. And as we're driving home, I'm like, gosh, something is wrong with my van. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with it, but like something more serious. So I get home, I pick up my dad, and I'm like, just take a drive for me and tell me. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but can you tell me? And he's like, yep, brakes, probably need all new rotors and everything. Okay, so it's like hundreds of dollars. Okay, so I can't drive my van till my dad's gonna fix it because I don't want to pay someone. And also the wait list to get in to get your car worked on at the shop is like 19 business days right now. So then my Suburban is what I've been driving, but the headlights don't work, only on bright. So you have to drive. Luckily, the time change has helped me out because it's really not that dark in the mornings. Like I can drive with just my little, the little parking beams. But one morning I did have to drive with the brights on, and I love flashing people when my headlights don't work. So like when they flash me, I flash them back, and my car goes dark. I think it's hilarious. Anyway, and my husband's Equinox, which is like supposed to be our good vehicle, is needs a new sensor. So like it won't idle. Like sometimes when you turn it on and start driving, it just dies. Some sensor, I don't know, stupid
Oh my
electronic
gosh,
vehicles.
that happened to you the other day.
Yes!
I had to go around you like, what's this? I know what it's doing.
Sometimes if you gun it enough, it'll
That's
catch it
probably
back
why I
up, but not
like
that day
to
it would
run.
go. So I had to, you have to
Just gun
stop, you gotta shut it off and turn it back on, and then it's fine once you get going. Okay, so as I'm dreaming of the lottery, I'm like, what would it be like to just be able to walk out to the driveway and get in any of your vehicles and drive away? I will probably never know. What would it be like to buy a vehicle that
Buy a
didn't
Bentley.
already have 100,000 miles when you buy it? What would that be like? I don't know. I'll probably never know. Since currently I have two vehicles over 200,000 miles and one with 147. So, yeah, that's my life. Okay. Anyway, so she's giving this lesson about covet not, want not, and you'll be happier. Okay? So his second argument second point is rebutted now. There's nothing wrong with being low-born. There's nothing wrong with being poor. Still has to contend with which other two?
Ugly and old.
Ugly and old. Okay. Lastly, you tax me, sir, with being old. Yet even if you never had been told by ancient books, you gentlemen engage yourselves in honor to respect old age. To call an old man father shows good breeding, and this could be supported from my reading. You say I'm old and fouler than a fen. You need not fear to be a cuckold then. Filth and old age, I'm sure you will agree, are powerful wardens over chastity. Okay, so the first paragraph first stanza, she's talking about her poverty. She uses what evidence? Books that say what?
That you honor to respect it.
Respect your elders. Okay, now in this next stanza, she says, what about it? What's another advantage or another reason he shouldn't be complaining about her age?
She'll be like faithful. Is that what it is?
Well, maybe not she'll be, but not necessarily. It's what's chastity?
Confidence.
Something with your pants down there.
What? That's a
Cause like you have like chastity belts.
Okay, and the purpose of a chastity belt is to protect a woman's chastity.
Virginity?
Yes, okay.
Oh, God.
It's like if your parents make you wear this, there's no access. It's like a padlocked leather protective gear.
It's on
So
Robin
that-
Hood Men in Tights. That's
so
why we should
that-
have watched it.
So that no devious young men can enter without permission from your father. Okay, so she says, filth and old age are powerful wardens over chastity, meaning he doesn't have to worry about other men taking what is his.
I wonder why.
Isn't he lucky that you don't have to worry about that? Nevertheless, well knowing your delights, I shall fulfill your worldly appetites. So she says, don't worry, I'll know how to take care of you. Okay. You have two choices. Which one will you try? To have me old and ugly till I die, but still a true, loyal, true, and humble wife that never will displease you all your life. So that's option one. Or would you rather I were young and pretty and chance your arm what happens in a city where friends will visit you because of me? Yes, and in other places too, maybe. Like, they won't just visit me when you're around, but in other places too, maybe. Which would you have? The choice is all your own. So she gives him two options. Option one.
Old to yourself, old and loyal.
Old, ugly, but faithful until the day we die. Or two,
Well, she dies.
Young, pretty.
young and pretty, but other guys are gonna want her. And what will he be able to do about it? Okay. The knight thought long, and with a piteous groan, at last he said, with all the care in life, my lady and my love, my dearest wife, I leave the matter to your wise decision. You make the choice yourself. For the provision of what may be agreeable and rich in honor to us both, I don't care which. Whatever pleases you suffices me. And have I won the mastery? Said she, since I am to choose and rule as I think fit. Certainly, wife, he answered her, that's it. Kiss me, she cried, no quarrels. On my oath and word of honor, you shall find me both. That is both fair and faithful as a wife. May I go howling mad and take my life unless I prove to be as good and true as ever wife was since the world was new. And if tomorrow when the sun's above I seem less fair than any lady love, than any queen or empress east to west, do with my life and death as you think best. Cast up the curtain, husband, look at me. And when indeed the knight had looked to see, lo, she was young and lovely, rich in charms. In ecstasy he caught her in his arms. His heart went bathing in a bath of blisses and melted in 100,000 kisses. And she responded in the fullest measure, with all that could delight or give him pleasure. So they lived ever after to
Good
the
morning,
end
Central
in
Valley.
perfect
Our
bliss.
school motto is instilling pride, inspiring others. Please join me in saying our motto. Instilling pride, inspiring others. Please stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
I thought it was cool.
Announcements for today, November 14th, 2022.
December.
If you need community service hours, the first Presbyterian Church in St. Paul is looking for volunteers for the free community Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday, November 23rd.
Crying or what's wrong with it?
Volunteers are also needed for prep work on Wednesday, November 23rd. Lunch today, chicken fajita, taco, veggie blend, Grace Ferris milk.
Especially since we just had talk.
Breakfast tomorrow, roll, toast, fruit juice, milk. Central Valley attended District 8 livestock judging contest in Broken Bow. On Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, our junior high placed 4th overall. And with top places of 9th by Dalton Dugan, 10th by Cale Grosser, and 18th by Caden Straka, out of 142 students. Congratulations to the junior high participants Ty Klein, Tanner Schultz, Nevaeh Klipner, Austin Dush, Landon Shoemaker, Dallas Wadsworth, Kinley Nelson, and Dale Barth. Our junior team placed 16th overall, with top placings 48th by Chisholm Gooch, 52nd by Emily Lillett, out of 148 students. Congratulations to Hannah Young for participating in the junior contest. Lunch tomorrow, chicken nuggets, curly fries, peas, carrots, mandarin oranges, milk. Central Valley Public School mission statement is to provide academic and social opportunities for all individuals to experience, explore, and expand, to become successful citizens. Fun fact, a newborn kangaroo is the size of a lima bean. Riddle, what goes from Z to A? Have a great day, Cougars.
Halloween.
Zebra
A zebra or a kangaroo?
goes from Z to A.
The alphabet backwards.
Okay. So they lived ever after to the end in perfect bliss. And may Christ Jesus send us husbands, meek and young and fresh in bed, and grace to overbid them when we wed. And Jesus, hear my prayer, cut short the lives of those who won't be governed by their wives. And all old angry niggards of their pence, God send them soon a very pestilence. That just means men, actually.
Well, I'm gonna say that bunch of maggots.
I would recommend
A
it.
bunch of maggots.
Okay, so what happens?
They live together forever.
She's magic, it's the time of fairies, you know. She turns into a beautiful woman and they live their life happily ever after. And then the wife makes a prayer at the end with two things. What is it? Two prayers she sends up at the end. One is for,
Bunch of short lives.
that's the
Of
second
those
one.
who won't be governed by their wives.
Yeah, so the second one
They shall
is
be
to cut
born.
short the lives of men who won't give their wives power and send them diseases. Bad diseases to kill them.
Hey,
But what's the first thing she asked for?
Give them meek husbands.
Meek husbands who are good
fresh
in
in
bed.
bed.
Yeah. Mhm.
Fresh in bed.
Who will
give
do
him
what we
head.
want.
Fucking niggards.
Give me $5. So what I get next 5? Are you going to college?
I recommend it.
Probably the essay question.
Oh, everybody who has submitted their essays has a grade now, by the way.
I think our grades are going to go up for that.